In today's recap, we're breaking down a crime thriller where nothing is what it seems, where every name is a clue, and where the biggest villain hides in plain sight. Stay with me till the end, because this climax will completely flip your brain. The film begins with a man named Dean standing on a ship soaked in oil, smoking a cigarette. He lights his cigarette and throws the burning matchbox onto the ship. Since the ship is covered in oil, it immediately catches fire. Just then, a man from above pees in that fire, and magically the fire stops there. We are not clearly shown the appearance of that man, but his name is Kaiser. He comes down from above, shoots Dean while smoking, and drops his own cigarette there, which causes the fire to start again. The story then goes back to 6 weeks earlier, when the New York police arrested 5 men together on charges of hijacking a truck. The 5 were Dean, Michael, Fred, Hockney, and Kent. Kent is the one telling this entire story to the police, and he has a disability that prevents him from walking properly. The police put all 5 of them in jail and interrogated them the whole night, but since they had not hijacked any truck, they had nothing to confess. They were locked in the same cell, where they eventually became friends. The scene then shifts back to the present, where the police are investigating the same ship incident, and they are collecting all the bodies. There is a FBI agent Jack as well. The police tell Jack that there are only 2 survivors out of 27.
One guy's in county hospital, but he's in a coma. The DA has a second guy, a cripple from New York, I think. Listen, the chief wants his place sealed.
The disabled man is Kent. Jack goes straight to the hospital to meet the burned man from the ship. However, the man is speaking in a different language. That man is Hungarian. So, a translator and a sketch artist are called to record his statement. At the same time, a senior officer informs Officer Dave that the case of the ship attack has become highly political and that Kent is receiving a lot of support. So they will have to grant him bail within 2 hours. Officer Dave immediately goes to talk to Kent, who starts telling everything again, and the scene shifts into a flashback where Dean's girlfriend, who is a lawyer, gets their team released on bail. After coming out, Michael tells the team that he has received a job from a man named Redfoot, who told him that some police officers are very corrupt.
Service. It was a ring of corrupt cops in the NYPD that ran a high-profit racket driving smugglers and drug dealers all over the city. For a few $100s a mile, you got your own blue and white.
The job is to steal diamonds from a big smuggler and give them to Redfoot. This way, they would not only earn money, but also take revenge on the corrupt police officers. In the next scene, we see the police taking the smuggler away in a taxi. Then Kent and his team intercepted the taxi by surrounding it with 4 vans and blocking its path.
Give me the thing! Shit, man! Hurry up! Come on! Now the money.
After cornering the vehicle, they set it on fire while the smuggler was still inside. At the same time, Dean had already informed the media so that the police corruption racket would also be exposed. Because of the media coverage, around 50 inspectors were suspended, and the team felt that their revenge was complete. The scene then shifts back to the present, where a translator is brought to the hospital to speak with the burned man. The police believe that a cocaine deal was taking place on the ship, but the burned man claims that he saw the devil on the ship that night. By devil, he is referring to Kaiser Söze. Continuing his story, Kent explains that after stealing the diamonds, they handed them over to Redfoot. Redfoot then offered them another job. They had to steal both diamonds and cash from a man. All the diamonds would belong to Redfoot, while the stolen money would be kept by their team. Tempted by the promise of money, the team agreed. While carrying out the job, they killed the man and his bodyguards. However, when they checked the goods, instead of diamonds and cash, they found only drugs. This led to a heated argument between Dean and Redfoot. Redfoot shifted the blame onto a lawyer, claiming that the job had actually come from him. In anger, Dean demanded to meet this so-called great lawyer. The team then waited for the lawyer in a room. His name was Kobayashi. He claims to be a representative of Kaiser. His reputation was so terrifying to all the criminals. Yet no one had ever actually seen him before. When Kobayashi finally met them, he told them that one of his competitors was about to conduct a drug deal worth $91 million, and the team had to stop that deal. In return, they would receive the entire $91 million as their reward. It turns out that Kobayashi was the one who had originally arranged for all 5 of them to be arrested. He had even planned to meet them in jail, but before he could do that, Dean's girlfriend managed to get them bail. After their release, Kobayashi gave them a suitcase containing files with each of their names on them. Inside those files was every detail about their criminal histories, everything they had ever done. However, Fred decided he no longer wanted to be part of this dangerous game. He took his share of the money and tried to run away, but Kobayashi's men caught and killed him. Michael was furious because Fred had been his friend for the past 5 years. Losing his friend pushed Michael to make a firm decision. They would have to burn everything down of Kobayashi. Then the team stormed into Kobayashi's office, killed his bodyguards, and dragged Kobayashi into a separate room. They were ready to kill him, but Kobayashi threatened them. He said that if anything happened to him, he could have their loved ones harmed. Even Dean's girlfriend would not be spared. Hearing this, the team's confidence vanished. With no choice left, they agreed to do the $91 million job. In the next scene, we see the same ship, the one from the opening with the fire, where the deal was about to take place. Michael positioned himself on the roof as a sniper. Dean tells Kent that if everyone else died, he should take the money and escape. The team had also planted a bomb on the ship. As soon as it exploded, chaos erupted, and there are dead bodies everywhere. Back in the present, Kent is narrating all of this to Officer Dave, but Dave interrupts him, saying that on the ship there was no $91 million worth cocaine. Instead, the deal involved a man who had once seen Kaiser. In fact, the entire plan had been designed by Kaiser to kill that very man. The story then shifts back to a flashback where Michael and Dean are searching for the $91 million cocaine, but instead, they find the man who was supposed to be part of the deal. However, before the deal could happen, someone had already killed him. Hockney was also killed, and Michael was shot in the neck. Seeing all of this, Kent ran away. He heard a gunshot and hid behind a box. This is the same scene we saw at the beginning of the movie, where Dean was shot and killed by Kaiser. After that, in the present day, Officer Dave reveals a shocking truth. Dean was not who everyone thought he was. Dean was Kaiser, and he had once been a police officer. Even while in service, he had been accused multiple times of murder, but he always managed to have the witnesses against him killed. Eventually, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison, where he allegedly killed 3 more inmates. Officer Dave was never able to prove those murders. Later, Dean faked his own death to escape all the charges against him, and perhaps he was still pretending to be dead.
What are you doing here?
He saved you because he wanted it that way. It was his will. Keaton was Kaiser Söze.
Hearing all this, Kent was devastated. He felt completely betrayed. Dean had used him the entire time so that the one man who had seen Kaiser could also be eliminated. He insisted that he had not actually seen Dean die. He had only heard a gunshot.
Mattis, the kind of man who could engineer a police lineup through all these years.
Officer Dave then offered Kent a deal to become a state witness so they could reopen the case against Dean. But Kent angrily refused, saying that even after being betrayed, he would not betray his friend. Just then, the 2 hours were up, and Kent was granted bail. However, the climax was still left. Officer Dave was frustrated that Dean had slipped through his hands once again. As he sat drinking tea, he looked at his investigation board, filled with newspaper clippings and notes. He suddenly realized that many of the names Kent had mentioned, like Redfoot and others, were written on that very board. It meant Kent had likely built his entire story using hints from those clippings. In other words, his story was fabricated. Shocked, the cup fell from Dave's hand. At that moment, a sketch from the hospital arrived, the sketch of Kaiser. Officer Dave rushed out to chase Kent. Outside the police station, Kent was walking with a limp like a disabled man. But as he moved farther away, his limp gradually disappeared, and he began walking normally. A black car pulled up, and he got inside and drove away with Kobayashi. Now comes the real climax. Kint himself was Kaiser. From the very beginning, he had fooled the police and acted innocent in front of his team. In the end, he cleverly shifted all the blame onto Dean, which was easy because Dean already had a criminal history. In short, the police arrested 5 men, or rather, Kaiser had himself arranged the arrests. The 5 became the team. They stole diamonds and gave them to Redfoot, who later gave them another job involving diamonds and cash, but they found only drugs. Redfoot shifted the blame to Kobayashi, who terrified them with stories about Kaiser. Then they agreed to the ship job, believing they would earn $91 million. But in reality, the deal was meant to kill the one man who had seen Kaiser. On the ship, all members of Kint's team were killed except one. Officer Dave had suspected Dean because of his criminal record, believing he might have faked his death again. But in the final reveal, Kint walked away, his limp gone, proving that he was Kaiser all along. With this, the movie ends. Let me know in the comments which movie explanation you'd like next. See you in the next video.